Let me give you the overview of the story before officially starting. Yukito, an 85-year-old bronze rank adventurer with shockingly low stats despite reaching level 98, faces ridicule and despair after years of relentless effort yield minimal rewards. After dying in a tragic battle, a system error revives him, resetting his life to the day he became an adventurer and revealing a maxed-out hidden luck stat. Confused but determined, Yukito embraces his second chance. He pledges to harness his newfound abilities to achieve greatness, aiming to bring joy to his family, heal his ailing mother, and ensure his sister's happiness. The manhwa begins with a group of rare and highly valuable silver slimes being spotted by a team of hunters. There are 4 slimes in total, and the hunters are cautious, knowing how elusive and valuable these creatures are. One hunter, positioned ahead of the others and hiding behind a tree, warns his team to be careful, stressing that they cannot afford to let the slimes escape. However, before they can act, a lone figure suddenly rushes toward the slimes, ignoring the hunter's call to wait. This individual, later revealed to be the main character, Takahashi Yukito, swiftly eliminates all 4 silver slimes with precise and consistent critical strikes using his long one-handed sword. As Yukito defeats the slimes, a system window appears, notifying him that he has acquired S-rank items: silver slime armor, silver slime gauntlets, and silver slime shoes. The items are displayed on the grass where the slimes were defeated, with a golden system window providing detailed descriptions of each item. The other hunters are stunned by Yukito's efficiency and luck. A warrior-type hunter is amazed by Yukito's ability to land critical strikes on every slime, while a mage-type hunter is shocked by the rare drops, as S-rank items are incredibly difficult to obtain. One hunter even remarks, "What a lucky guy." Yukito, however, seems unfazed by their reactions. He checks his inventory, chuckling to himself as he examines the S-rank items. He reflects on how unbelievable it is to have obtained such high-tier gear, remarking that it feels like he is being rewarded for all the hardships he endured in his previous life. A flashback then reveals more about Yukito's past. He was once an 85-year-old bronze rank adventurer, a low-ranking and seemingly unremarkable figure in the adventurer hierarchy. He is standing in Tokyo Dungeon, where adventurers are preparing for a challenge. Yukito stands alone, while others are grouped in parties of 2 or 3. Suddenly, chaos erupts as most of the adventurers receive alarming notifications on their phones. One adventurer shouts, showing his phone to the group, revealing that monsters are attacking outside the dungeon. This news spreads panic among the adventurers. Monsters are ravaging the area, making it unsafe for anyone to remain outside. People are scrambling to move deeper into the dungeon, fearing that more monsters will emerge from below. Amid the panic, a young adventurer notices Yukito and urgently tells him to escape, saying, "This isn't the time to be hunting slimes." However, Yukito silently pulls away from the young adventurer's grasp, ignoring the warning and walking toward a group of slimes in the distance. The young adventurer's party members observe Yukito from afar, sensing something unusual about his behavior and resolve. As the other adventurers run away from the impending danger, one of them bumps into Yukito, pushing him aside and calling him a slime geezer. Yukito falls to the ground, and his sword drops beside him. Despite the insult and the chaos around him, Yukito remains composed. He picks up his sword, stands up, and continues on his path, seemingly unaffected by the situation. As he walks, Yukito reflects on the passage of time since the founding of adventurers and the system that governs their world. He recalls how the system uses a familiar status-based progression mechanic, where defeating monsters allows adventurers to level up, increasing their stats and sometimes granting them magic or skills. This is considered normal for adventurers. However, Yukito's situation is far from normal. He looks at his stats and laments the results of his efforts. Despite reaching level 98, his stats are so low that not a single one is in the double digits. Even newbies who have killed just 10 slimes have better stats than him. A flashback reveals the depth of Yukito's perseverance. It shows him tirelessly fighting monsters, giving his all in every battle. His primary goal was to avoid losing to anyone else, and he pushed himself to his limits, relentlessly hunting weak monsters to climb to level 98. This grueling journey was driven by sheer persistence and determination, even though the rewards were minimal. Yukito reflects on how he was the only one who pushed himself to such extremes, tirelessly battling monsters despite his age and deteriorating condition. Standing in a desolate field after yet another fight, he drops his broken sword to the ground, exhausted. He recalls that the maximum level in the adventure system is level 99 and hardens his resolve, thinking, Just one more. When he reached the highest level, it will all be worth it. Clenching his fist, he prepares himself to face another group of slimes, driven by the hope that reaching the pinnacle of the leveling system will finally reward his years of effort. Despite his frail state, Yukito charges at the slimes with fierce determination, fighting them barehanded. He remains confident that his status is improving, even if it is happening slowly. Channeling all his strength, he pushes through the fight with unshakable resolve. In a dramatic moment, he bites into the core of the last slime, defeating it. A system window pops up, announcing what Yukito has been waiting for. Level up. Another window congratulates him, stating, Takahashi Yukito, he has finally reached the maximum level. Congratulations. Overwhelmed with emotion, Yukito raises his trembling hands toward the system window and pleads, now, please reward him for all his hardships. However, the system's response is devastating. Another window appears, informing him that his strength has increased by 1 point. Yukito immediately checks his status window, only to find that his strength has gone up by a single point, and his level is now 99, the maximum level. The realization hits him like a sledgehammer. All his years of relentless effort, the countless battles, and the sacrifices he made have culminated in a mere 1-point increase in strength. Shocked and devastated, Yukito falls to the ground, shouting in despair, Are you messing with me? It was all for nothing. Are you trying to say that there is nothing for me? I have no hope left. As he cries out, red eyes glow in the darkness behind him, and monsters begin to surround him from all directions. Yukito, however, feels no fear, only regret. He reflects on the life he lived, filled with hardship and failure. He remembers how everyone looked down on him, how he couldn't save his mother, who had always treasured him, and how he inadvertently crushed his little sister's happiness. Overwhelmed by sorrow, he whispers, This life is finally over. At that moment, a large monster crushes him under its foot, and his blood spreads across the ground. Just as Yukito is about to die, an error window appears, stating, A fatal error has occurred with Takahashi Yukito's status system, applying the repair patch and doing a rollback on his life. Another window follows, revealing, Hidden parameters released, giving status bonuses as an apology. Unique status points, 9,999. Then Yukito hearing the voice of a girl congratulating him. As he fully opens his eyes, he realizes the girl is the receptionist of the Adventurer Guild. She hands him his Adventurer logo and says, From now on, you are an adventurer. Yukito, visibly confused, looks around trying to make sense of the situation. The receptionist notices his reaction and asks, Is there something wrong? Yukito forces a nervous smile, replies, No, and quickly grabs his Adventurer logo, thanking her before moving away. Once alone, Yukito immediately pulls out his phone and checks the date. He thinks to himself, If I remember correctly, this was the day I registered with the Adventurers Guild. What happened? I remember seeing something about status bonuses right before I died. To investigate further, he opens his status window. At first glance, his stats appear unchanged, just as they were when he first became an adventurer. However, he notices that he can scroll the window down slightly. When he does, he is shocked to see that his luck stat is maxed out. Yukito is bewildered, wondering if this stat existed in his previous life. He recalls that luck was a hidden parameter back then, invisible to adventurers, and he can't believe it is now visible and maxed out. Reflecting on his past, he emphasizes that he endured 70 years of bad luck. Determined to test his newfound luck, Yukito decides to hunt slimes, a familiar and seemingly simple task. The setting shifts to a bright, open field labeled Tokyo Dungeon. First floor, unfading footprint. Yukito spots a group of slimes and cheerfully remarks, There they are, showing a rare moment of optimism. Looking at the slimes in the peaceful field, he comments, It feels like home, expressing a sense of comfort and familiarity. However, as he prepares to engage, he senses something unusual nearby. Turning around with curiosity, he spots something shining brightly in the grass. To his astonishment, Yukito discovers a rare silver slime, an ultra-rare monster that appeared only once in his previous life. He recalls that the silver slime provides a huge amount of experience points, but is infamous for its swift escapes. The last time he encountered one, it got away before he could act. Determined not to let history repeat itself, Yukito carefully calculates his approach, knowing that one more step will bring him within striking range. Just as he prepares to attack, an arrow strikes nearby, startling him and interrupting his plan. Someone shouts an apology for misfiring, but Yukito is furious. He mutters angrily, calling the person an idiot for ruining his chance. However, to his surprise, the silver slime, startled by the arrow's noise, looks around and notices Yukito nearby. Instead of fleeing, the slime attacks him, catching Yukito off guard. Yukito immediately dodging an attack from the silver slime, surprised that it didn't flee as he expected, but instead chose to attack him. He quickly gets into a fighting stance, and the slime rushes toward him again. This time, Yukito is ready. He thrusts his sword toward the incoming slime, breaking its core and defeating it. With a sigh of relief, he levels up 4 times. However, as he checks his weapon, he realizes it has broken after the encounter, reminding him of the silver slime's strength. He decides he needs a better weapon and throws the broken sword into his inventory. As he processes the victory, Yukito notices something glowing behind him where the silver slime was defeated. To his shock, he sees a sword on the ground, emitting a radiant light. He exclaims, "No way!" An S-rank weapon appears as a rare drop. Thrilled by this incredible stroke of luck, he picks up the weapon, which boasts high attack power but has a slight drawback in accuracy. Despite this, Yukito feels confident and prepared to take on more challenges with his new S-rank sword. Soon, he encounters 4 silver slimes at once and wonders if he's dreaming. The slimes charge at him aggressively, forcing him into a tough battle. Despite knowing it will be difficult to defeat all of them, Yukito decides to face the challenge head-on. Using his new sword, he swings with precision, landing critical hits on each of the silver slimes and defeating them in a flash. The slimes drop more S-rank items, further boosting his resources and confidence. Relieved and exhilarated by his victory, Yukito continues hunting for another hour. In total, he battles 10 silver slimes, each encounter yielding rare loot. However, his bag eventually becomes full, forcing him to stop. Reflecting on his incredible luck, he realizes it's too consistent and overwhelming to doubt anymore. Overjoyed, he exclaims, "My luck is real," and celebrates his success, acknowledging that his perseverance and newfound abilities are finally paying off. Exhausted but deeply satisfied, Yukito lies down on the grass, staring at the sky. In this moment of quiet reflection, he vows to use his newfound power to achieve something meaningful. He dreams of becoming someone great, not for himself, but to bring happiness to his family. Specifically, he wants to help his sick mother recover and see his sister happily married, envisioning these moments as sources of pride and joy for him. As he sits up, a sudden realization hits him. He doesn't even know if he has a home to return to anymore. Reflecting on his life, he remembers that he has been alone for 70 years, a thought that fills him with longing. While putting his sword into his inventory, he expresses a deep desire to go home, a place he hasn't known for decades. At that moment, a teleportation circle activates, and Yukito exits the dungeon. Filled with determination, he begins to run, driven by an urgent and passionate need to reunite with his family. Shouting with emotion, he declares, "I must reunite with them right now." He resolved to make up for lost time and to use his second chance at life to bring happiness to those he loves. After some time, Yukito arriving at an old apartment building, catching his breath after running to reunite with his family. He stands outside, trying to remember which room on the second floor is his. Reflecting on his past, he recalls being homeless for a long time and having forgotten his room number. However, upon seeing the nameplate, he recognizes his room as 203. Nervous and filled with anticipation, he reaches for the doorknob, trying to calm himself. He questions why he's feeling so anxious, given that this is his home and his family. Gathering his courage, he mutters, "All right," and opens the door. The door opens slightly, revealing a girl inside who casually greets him, calling him Big Brother and welcoming him back. Overwhelmed with emotion, Yukito immediately hugs her tightly, calling her by her name, Nozomi. Surprised by his sudden display of affection, Nozomi asks what he's doing and wonders if it's a prank. She playfully tells him to let go, but Yukito holds on firmly, his resolve unwavering. In this moment, he silently vows that this time, he won't let anyone take away what's precious to him. His fierce determination to protect his sister and his family is palpable. The scene then shifts to Yukito and Nozomi sitting at a table together. Yukito explains everything that has happened so far, including his newfound luck stats and the incredible opportunities they've brought him. Nozomi listens in amazement and asks if they can use this luck to save their mom. Yukito smiles confidently and reassures her, saying, "Of course, All it takes is a bit of effort while holding a drink. His confidence and optimism reflect his determination to use his abilities for the benefit of his family. The next day, Yukito puts his plan into action. He trades rare items he acquired from his hunts for a significant amount of money. With the funds, he participates in an auction, bidding 10 million confidently to acquire the highest grade status ailment recovery potion. The view then shifts to a hospital building, where Yukito and Nozomi arrive, preparing to meet their mother. They knock on the door, and their mother's voice warmly invites them in, saying, "Come in." Inside, their mother smiles warmly and asks how they have been, showing her care and love for them. Yukito teases her in return, saying, "Mom, that's our line." Nozomi presents souvenirs to her mother, who thanks them with a warm smile. However, she gently scolds them, asking them not to spend money on her and to take care of themselves instead. Yukito reassuring his mother, telling her not to worry about money anymore. Nozomi, his sister, excitedly chimes in, revealing that they have another gift for her. Their mother looks intrigued and asks, "What is it?" Yukito presents a glowing potion and urges her to drink it. Nozomi explains that her brother earned money from the dungeon to purchase the potion, a testament to his efforts as an adventurer. Their mother expresses disbelief, questioning how Yukito, a new adventurer, managed to achieve such a feat. Yukito humbly admits, "I was just lucky," downplaying his accomplishments despite the incredible odds he overcame. He hands the glowing potion to his mother, saying, "Here, drink it." Their mother opens the potion bottle and takes a sip. As the potion begins to work, her body glows with magical energy, and Yukito and Nozomi nervously ask, "How is it?" She responds that she feels lighter and can breathe more easily, a sign that the potion is having a positive effect. Relieved, Yukito smiles warmly and says, "That's great." Nozomi enthusiastically praises her brother, exclaiming, "Good job, big brother," and gives him a cheerful high five, showcasing the siblings' close bond. Their mother humorously remarks that the potion tastes bad, prompting Yukito to jokingly offer her a palate cleanser. The potion's effects are significant. Her symptoms ease, and the progression of her illness halts, as confirmed by the doctor. She begins physical therapy to regain her strength and eventually receives permission for home care, marking a major step forward in her recovery. Overjoyed at the prospect of living together as a family again, their mother calls it a dream come true. Nozomi reassures her, saying, "It's real," emphasizing the tangible progress they've made. Their mother finds peace and comfort in being back home, engaging in daily chores, and enjoying the simple pleasures of life. Nozomi is thrilled to see her mother doing better, but Yukito remains thoughtful and somewhat unsatisfied. Noticing his demeanor, Nozomi asks why he seems troubled. Yukito reveals that the potion is only a temporary fix and cannot completely cure their mother's illness. Nozomi, concerned, asks what they should do next. Yukito explains that they need a powerful legendary L-rank item, such as an elixir, to fully cure her. This revelation shifts the focus to a new, more daunting goal. Nozomi, seeing a broadcast about the elixir on TV, mentions that top adventurers have found it. The broadcast explains that the elixir can save someone on the brink of death, but is incredibly rare, appearing only on dungeon floors below 50. Additionally, it cannot be bought, making it a unique and rare item. Yukito agrees, elaborating that unique items are special and tied to the individual who earns them. He explains that obtaining such items requires defeating a powerful being, symbolizing glory and exceptional achievement. Nozomi concludes that they must obtain the elixir themselves since it cannot be bought, and Yukito confirms this, solidifying their new mission. Yukito and Nozomi discussing their plan to obtain the legendary elixir while washing dishes together. Nozomi asks her brother if he can venture deeper than the 50th floor of the dungeon, a feat that seems daunting even for experienced adventurers. Yukito initially jokes that it's normally impossible and even quips about dying a dog's death, causing Nozomi to panic and question how they can accomplish such a task. However, Yukito smirks and clarifies that he said normally, hinting that he has a plan beyond conventional means. Yukito reflects on his unique advantages, realizing that his power isn't just his maxed-out luck stat, but also the knowledge from his past life. He recalls that the elixir, while extremely rare, can appear on upper floors of the dungeon, not just the lower ones as commonly believed. He visualizes the ancient golem, the 20th floor boss, as a fearsome opponent that guards the elixir. The elixir is a unique item, an extremely rare drop that only appears when the golem is defeated. Yukito explains that the appearance rate of the elixir is astronomically low because it's a rare drop from a rare monster, making it one of the most coveted items in the dungeon. As he reflects on his past life, Yukito mentions a rare occurrence he only heard of once, where the elixir appeared under unusual circumstances. This memory, combined with his current luck, fills him with confidence. He smiles to himself while opening the fridge. Nozomi notices his expression and comments on it, teasing him playfully. Yukito, holding a bottle, questions if he really had such an expression, to which Nozomi cheerfully replies, "You can do anything because you're my big brother." Her unwavering faith in him boosts his confidence, and he smirks, seemingly amused by her teasing and the situation at hand. Yukito pours drinks into 3 glasses and confidently declares that's a given. As he holds a glass, he mentions that he needs to make some preparations, catching Nozomi's attention. She looks curious and asks, "Preparation?" Yukito smirks confidently, thinking to himself that there's always a loophole to everything.
The protagonist, Takahashi Yukito, wields the great sword of the silver slime, which has special effects but a 30% chance to miss. His sister questions if he's properly equipped for the dungeon, as most warriors wear heavy armor. Yukito admits his stats are too low to wear heavy gear. His status screen shows that his only high stat is luck. He realizes he can't equip strong gear, so his only option is to rely on his sword skills. He unlocks a new skill, Great Layering Strike, which has a 30% chance of a triple critical attack. His sister suggests a way to increase his stats and mentions something about the 5th floor. He thinks about that place called Alice Crown. He mentions that monsters drop the rare miracle fruit, which might help him grow stronger. His sister tells him to be careful before he leaves. She hands him a lunchbox, worrying that he might not need it if he eats the miracle fruit. He accepts it gratefully. The lunchbox gets stored in his inventory. He heads out for the dungeon. He arrives at the Tokyo Dungeon's 5th floor, Alice Crown. The floor is filled with planter monsters and is known for making adventurers get lost. He checks his map, confident that he won't have any issues. However, he finds himself in a dense forest, possibly getting lost. Yukito finds the treant nest and prepares for battle. The treants use mimicry to blend in with the trees, making them hard to detect. However, their mimicry isn't perfect, and Yukito knows their weaknesses. He identifies them by their leaf structure and root patterns. He throws an object to confirm the treant's presence. A giant treant emerges, revealing itself as a monster. The treant attacks, its glowing red eyes signaling danger. Yukito strikes with precision, saying, "Bullseye!" He lands a critical hit, splitting the treant in half. Yukito notices something after defeating the treant, a rare drop. The miracle fruit appears. He picks it up, surprised by its special properties. He tastes it, noting a mild pear or apple flavor. He decides that taste doesn't matter as long as it works. His stats increase, confirming the miracle fruit's effect. He realizes its minor stat-boosting power. He continues the cycle of hunting and eating to grow stronger. After eating too much, he gets bored of the same taste. Yukito wonders if he has reached his growth limit, as his stats have increased significantly. He checks his status screen, confirming his progress. Deciding to end his hunt for the day, he stretches and relaxes. Suddenly, he hears a noise, sensing someone nearby. He instantly reacts, demanding to know who's there. A group of hostile adventurers appears, accusing him of hogging the hunting grounds. 2 suspicious men, a hooded figure and a brute, smirk menacingly. Yukito notices they lack adventurer IDs, suspecting they are crawlers, illegal hunters. The hooded man mocks Yukito, calling him a spoiled brat. The brute threatens him, saying that if Yukito hands over his high-quality equipment, they might spare his life. The armored man collapses on the ground, defeated. The protagonist confirms that everything activated as planned. The enemy used a high-level skill, proving he was stronger. The attack guarantees a hit but lowers power by 30%. The protagonist's enchanted clothes help reduce the damage. He realizes luck saved him from a fatal wound. The hooded enemy is shocked that his ally was defeated in one hit. The protagonist offers the enemy a chance to surrender. The hooded man retaliates, launching a fireball attack. The protagonist acknowledges the distance but prepares for action. The hooded enemy mocks him, assuming he is surrendering. The protagonist denies surrendering and activates an ability. He pulls out a mysterious weapon through a portal, revealing his own magical staff. He stands confidently. The hooded man laughs maniacally, believing he has the advantage. He questions if the protagonist understands the weapon's power. The protagonist confidently acknowledges it. He reveals the staff of nonsense, glowing with powerful energy. The hooded man underestimates the protagonist, calling him an amateur. The Staff of Nonsense is a rare but unstable item that activates random magic. The odds of casting a useful spell are low, making it unreliable. There's a high chance of failure, with only a small chance of casting strong magic. Even hitting a 30% success rate is considered lucky. The protagonist activates the staff, treating it like a magical lottery. The hooded man prepares an intermediate-level fireball spell. He believes his magic power is superior due to his equipment bonus. He arrogantly declares himself the guaranteed winner. The hooded man declares that the protagonist's luck has run out. He launches a massive fireball attack. A powerful explosion engulfs the battlefield. The protagonist calmly acknowledges that the enemy has finally made a move. He confidently states that he has also completed his preparations. His staff glows with immense magical energy. A colossal flaming meteor forms as his counterattack. The burning meteor looms over the battlefield, ready to strike. The protagonist remains unfazed, preparing for the impact. The protagonist stands firm as flames engulf the battlefield. A massive flaming meteor descends toward the enemy. The hooded man panics as his fireball is completely overpowered. He is in disbelief, realizing the protagonist used an advanced spell. The meteor hurtles toward him with unstoppable force. He nervously laughs, convincing himself it's just an illusion. He screams in terror, begging for it to stop. Pure fear fills his face as he realizes his fate. A devastating explosion erupts, consuming everything in flames. The battlefield is left in ruins, with a massive crater from the impact. The hooded man is reduced to a burnt, defeated state. The protagonist looks at his broken staff, unfazed. He sighs as he inspects the damaged weapon. He discards the staff and walks away, apologizing. Reflecting on the battle, he acknowledges that he was just incredibly lucky. The protagonist declares victory after defeating his enemies. He realizes he must not leave the crawlers alive. He decides to take the bodies outside despite the hassle. He restrains the captured enemies with ropes, ensuring they are securely tied up. He prepares to leave and head back above ground. A cute, game-like transition shows him traveling back up. He hands over the captured crawlers to the police. After a long questioning session, he feels exhausted. The protagonist steps outside with a determined look. He apologizes for being late, explaining he ran into trouble. The receptionist informs him that the police have already reported his actions. She happily congratulates him with excitement. He has ranked up to silver and receives a new badge. He is surprised by the promotion and questions if it's a mistake. The narration explains that reaching silver rank is usually very difficult. It requires completing special missions and hunting dangerous monsters. The receptionist confirms his promotion is deserved because he caught 2 criminals. The protagonist learns about the Red Arm, a dangerous crime group. The receptionist confirms he did a great job capturing them. She reveals that the criminals were as strong as silver-ranked adventurers. The protagonist realizes he unknowingly fought strong opponents and could have been in danger. He humbly says he was just lucky. The receptionist reassures him, saying even his modesty is silver-ranked. A diagram explains that adventurers can only challenge certain floors based on rank. He puts on his new silver rank badge. He sets his next goal, clearing at least the 20th floor. The receptionist supports him but warns about the difficulty of the 20th floor. She advises him not to challenge it alone. He acknowledges her advice and thanks her. He walks away, ready to take his next steps. He reflects on ranking up faster than expected and wonders if it was luck. Someone suddenly calls out to him. An old man in a suit asks for a moment of his time. The protagonist listens as the man identifies him as the adventurer who caught the gangsters. The wanted posters of the criminals he captured reveal their crimes and bounties. The protagonist confirms he defeated the criminals after they attacked him. The old man reacts emotionally, lowering his head. The old man thanks him sincerely, gripping his hands in gratitude. The protagonist is confused by the man's intense reaction. The old man reveals that the criminals had killed his son. He explains that even the police couldn't capture them, but the protagonist did. The protagonist humbly responds that he was just doing his duty as an adventurer. The old man deeply bows to show his gratitude. With tears in his eyes, he says he can now visit his son's grave with good news. The protagonist reflects that he was never thanked in his past life. He realizes that being appreciated actually feels good. He recalls how the world was destroyed in his past life. Unable to change it, he wonders if he should take action now that he knows the future. He doubts himself, reminding himself that he's not strong enough to change everything. He snaps himself out of his overthinking. He decides that his top priority is saving his mother. Determined, he walks toward his next goal. Elsewhere, a powerful and angry opponent slams his fist down in frustration. A furious man in hiding learns that Yamada and Hashimoto were defeated. He worries that the other gang members won't take this incident seriously. He realizes he can't pay tax to his boss due to the setback. He finds a newspaper with Takahashi Yukito's face and vows revenge. Enraged, he stabs the newspaper, swearing to kill Yukito. He acknowledges that Yukito took down 2 strong opponents alone. He admits Yukito must be strong but still believes he has a way to deal with him. He prepares himself, showing confidence despite Yukito's strength. Wearing a cloak, he smirks, declaring that Yukito's luck has run out. The protagonist arrives on the 15th floor. He finds himself at the lonely Death Mountain Peak. The terrain is narrow, winding, and dangerous. Due to its structure, it's hard to clear in a group. He reads that many have gone missing here and that crime is common. A weapon strikes the ground with force. He dodges an attack, seeing this as a perfect challenge for a solo hunter. He grabs his weapon, ready to fight. A giant bird attacks as he prepares for battle, aiming to level up for the 20th floor. The protagonist fights a giant bird to sharpen his skills. He originally planned to level up by hunting silver slimes, but after hunting too many, they stopped appearing. Facing stronger monsters, he decides to increase his kill count. With determination, he prepares for the next battle. Floating rock monsters force him to stay on guard. He leaps into battle against a ferocious beast. After intense fights, he acquires powerful new equipment. A mysterious man watches the protagonist from the shadows. The protagonist wields his silver slime greatsword with no armor. The observer recognizes him as Takahashi Yukito. Annoyed, he sees the protagonist as an intruder on his turf. He decides there's no need to attack immediately. He waits for the right moment to strike. Watching the protagonist set up camp, he grows curious. He realizes the protagonist plans to stay here for a while. A sudden idea sparks in his mind. The observer realizes he doesn't need to fight directly. He declares the land as his turf under a blood-red moon. Confident, he believes he has the upper hand. He understands that monsters have their own ecosystem. Using that knowledge, he plans to manipulate the balance. He slaughters predator birds to disrupt the ecosystem. He stands before a pit, waiting for the next phase of his plan. He throws something in, triggering an aggressive response. Swarms of monstrous insects awaken, their red eyes glowing in the dark. The monstrous insects rapidly grow stronger. Without predators, they begin overbreeding. The schemer waits patiently, knowing the time is near. He prepares his weapon, ready to act. Confident, he steps out, targeting an unlucky adventurer. His method ensures no outside interference. Holding insect repellent, he smirks, pleased with his plan. He scatters the repellent, setting his trap. The enraged insects, now uncontrolled, charge after their target. The schemer commands the insects to devour his target. He grins wickedly, wanting nothing left behind. Meanwhile, the protagonist defeats a beast effortlessly. Hearing a strange sound, he looks around cautiously. He notices a dark mass approaching from the distance. Confused, he mistakes it for black clouds. Realizing it's a swarm of death hoppers, his expression hardens. He prepares to fight but knows it's too much alone. Understanding the danger, he makes a quick escape. The protagonist realizes he needs a team to survive. A memory sparks as he recalls a useful location. He remembers a supply base from his past life. Adventurers had built a stronghold, making survival easier. Strangely, this base was never documented in guides. Determined, he arrives at the base's location. Focused, he refuses to waste any time. He attacks the ground with force. A giant frog monster leaps toward him aggressively. The protagonist inspects the wall and notices a slight difference in the soil color. He urgently calls for help from Monster Panic. A shadow appears behind the wall, indicating something is inside. He looks tense as black particles fill the air. Determined, he prepares to break in, saying it's an emergency. The wall shatters violently from his attack. Inside, he finds many unconscious, half-dressed people in a dark tunnel. He looks shocked and slightly overwhelmed by the discovery. The three captives, gagged and lying on the ground, look worried and confused. The protagonist, seeing them, jokingly asks if he walked into something weird. The captives panic and struggle to communicate, clearly distressed. The protagonist skillfully dodges an attack. With a smirk, he swiftly moves past the captives, striking down the enemies with his glowing weapon. A close-up shows someone being restrained by dark tendrils. The freed captives express their gratitude, relieved to be saved. The protagonist casually asks them what happened. One of the captives explains they were attacked by crawlers and knocked unconscious. The girl realizes they were being held for human trafficking. The protagonist surveys the area, confirming it is the crawlers' crime den. He reflects on how this place was supposed to be a supply point for adventurers. He suddenly wonders if he has stumbled upon a future event. A vision shows police planning to raid this location soon. In the future, this place will be turned into a hub for adventurers. The protagonist smirks, realizing he discovered it before it happened. He recalls that, in his past life, he was only obsessed with slimes for 70 years. The old man, unaware of time, calls 40 to 50-year-old snot-nosed brats. The protagonist decides to think about it later, looking frustrated. A close-up of his eyes shows deep focus and concern. The group reflects on the unexpected situation. The protagonist, determined, acknowledges the limited manpower available. The girl understands the situation, thinking seriously. The protagonist urgently calls for everyone's attention. He warns them that a swarm of death hoppers is rapidly approaching. A terrifying mass of deadly, insect-like creatures swarms toward them. A terrifying swarm of death hoppers advances with glowing red eyes. The captives panic upon realizing the sheer number of monsters. A man exclaims that this is a monster panic, and that there are too many to fight. The protagonist warns them that there's no time to hesitate. He commands them to cooperate if they want to survive. Some captives are skeptical about escaping such a massive threat. A girl panics, pointing out they have no weapons or armor. Another captive explains that all their equipment was stolen by crawlers. The protagonist confidently reveals that he has all the equipment they need. He accesses his inventory, revealing a vast collection of equipment. He summons a large amount of high-quality gear, letting it fall around him. The captives are shocked as rare weapons and armor appear before them. He confidently offers to transfer ownership of the equipment to them. A muscular man is stunned, realizing these are top-tier items. A young man and woman are amazed at how rare the items are. Someone questions the protagonist's identity, finding him mysterious. They note that he's never been seen in any ranking before. Excitedly, the captives start picking their weapons, eager to fight. The girl confidently puts on armor, saying it's more important than weapons. A blonde man admires a glowing sword, realizing its high value. A girl in a mage robe asks if they can really take all the equipment. The protagonist hints that he has a request but isn't forcing them. He asks if they will let him take command. Some members hesitate, but one argues that he saved their lives. They acknowledge that he also provided them with powerful gear. The girl enthusiastically agrees to follow his orders. A strong warrior declares his intent to fight, refusing to fall victim to the monster panic. The protagonist addresses the group, preparing them for battle. A flashback shows a fierce battle between warriors. The protagonist looks tense as he processes the situation. He expresses gratitude, possibly for their trust in him. The blonde knight and a round-faced man stand ready with confidence. The protagonist maintains a serious and determined expression. A hand reaches out, possibly signaling a command. The protagonist strategizes, suggesting they use the cave's narrow entrance. A diagram explains how limiting the enemy's entry will make the fight more manageable. The protagonist confidently commands them to focus on reducing the enemy's numbers. A serious-looking knight listens attentively, slightly tense. A young girl in a maid outfit grips her staff, appearing concerned. The protagonist smirks while holding a glowing crystal, exuding confidence. With a determined expression, he declares, "It's time for battle!" Wielding his weapon, he prepares for the fight ahead.
We got plenty more where that came from. Hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for even more amazing content.